What's going on, guys? Welcome to Ajax Reviews. Today, we review Death Valley. Directed by Dick Richards, a divorcee mother, her young son, and her new boyfriend set out on a road trip through Death Valley and run afoul of a local serial killer. So, this movie, I saw this movie way back in the day. Like, I don't remember. It's from like 1982. So I was like, 7 when it came out. When I saw it was probably shortly after it came out. I didn't remember anything about the movie other than it was a horror movie and that it had the little kid from A Christmas Story in it. I didn't remember too much about that, and I don't remember if I liked it. I remember being in elementary school and writing a story based on it, because to me, Death Valley was scary because of this movie. So again, I didn't remember a whole lot about it, and I was surfing through Amazon, and I was buying Blu-rays because I'm in the process of taking all my DVDs and just getting Blu-rays and replacing the DVDs, everything that I can anyway. And because, I mean, they take up less space. But so I ended up spending most of my income tax return on that. And I was scrolling and I saw Death Valley and I saw the kid, Ralphie from Christmas Story. I'm like, that's that movie. I'm like, I thought I dreamed the whole thing. Like, I didn't know that was a fucking movie. Like, I remember the name and I remember him and I remember Death Valley, the scenario, but I don't remember anything else. So this was like watching a whole new movie, a brand new movie. So I bought it. The day it got here, I popped that sumbitch in my Blu-ray player and I watched it. So without any further ado, let's get to the review and you guys can hear what I thought of it. So you look at most horror/thriller movies from 1982 and you're going to find either a movie flooded with boobs or a movie that went on to become a classic. There's rarely an in-between. This movie, however, has a great story and a good cast to go with it. From Catherine Hicks from Child's Play, to Wiford Diabetes Brimley, even to Peter Billingsley from Christmas Story. This movie was suspenseful and delivered on the tension through music and creative shots that added to the story. Of course, it's not without its flaws. I mean, come on. It's a 1982 horror movie. I'm going to give you some spoilers. So, in this movie, there are two killers. Again, spoilers. The killers were twin brothers, and the downside to that was that they were played by one actor. So therefore, they really there was no interaction between the two of them. They were never in the same place at the same time. And it made everything just seem fake. However, the car was great. And a lot of the scenes with the car were shot really well. And there was actually some creative things going on with the car and some of the shots of the car. It's something you'd have to see to understand, but it was really creative and really cool. Another spoiler, Peter Billingsley, Ralphie from A Christmas Story, does shoot a gun in this movie. Sadly, nobody loses an eye. So, what are some of the things about this movie that I liked? One of the things was when Billy, played by Peter Billingsley, actually schools the mom's boyfriend, Mike. When he comes out, he's like, here's a toy gun. It was made in the era of Billy the Kid and blah, blah, blah. And he just looks at it and he's like, that's not the era of this gun. This gun was manufactured in such and such year. And just like schools Mike on the whole thing. And kid's like 8. And just makes dude look like an ass. Like, I love that part. The kid was so smart, man. It was really cool.
James boys didn't have anything to do with Billy the Kid. And this model didn't come out until 10 years after Billy the Kid was gunned down by Pat Garrett.
Surprisingly, the music in this movie was pretty good. It was suspenseful and it set the mood for the movie. Typically in movies like this, you have either a good story and terrible music or a terrible story and great music. In this case, they both blend very well together. It created an atmosphere and it told the story. Another thing, Catherine Hicks, man, she was super hot back in the day. Not saying she wasn't hot as Andy's mom in Child's Play, but man, go back and watch this movie. She looks good. Now, there's a lot of high-name actors in this movie. There's Catherine Hicks, Ed Herman, Peter Billingsley. I forget the guy who played Mike, but then there's also Diabetes. And Wiford Brimley in this movie. So the acting was just really good. Even from Peter Billingsley, who did this movie prior to Christmas Story, did a fantastic job. Like at the very beginning, he made me feel really bad for him.
Am I just a picture in your head?
No.
When he was leaving New York to go to Death Valley with his mom and leaving his dad there. Like, I felt terrible for the kid. Did a great job. Another thing that I'm going to go ahead and say that I liked, but is more of a spoiler, it is kind of a funny thing. If you all remember in Christmas Story, when Ralphie is going through his fantasies, and he's got his Red Ryder, and he's like behind the fence, he's like, all right, Black Bart, I'm going to get...
Okay, Black Bart, now you get yours.
Funny thing about this movie is he was in a western town called Frontierland in Death Valley, and he was in the gift shop, and one of the killers came in, put a bandana over their face, and Peter Billingsley played, he was Billy in this movie, not Ralphie, but he pulls out his cap gun, and he's like, all right, Black Bart, and I spit fucking soda out of my mouth and my nose because I just laughed. I'm like, dude, this is too good.
I told you I never want to see you in these parts again, Black Bart.
Like, this is way too good. Like, this was before Christmas Story, and they kind of incorporated that into Christmas Story. They probably didn't do it on purpose, but I found it amusing. Looking back at it now, it's funny. Like, back then, who gives a shit? But for me, that was funny. Now for some of the things that I disliked. There was a scene in this movie where Billy is being babysat by an overweight babysitter. And sitting next to the TV, Billy had a bunch of candy. And she kept, looking at it. And the scene went on way too long, man. And she kept, looking at his candy. And then looking at him, looking at his candy. And then she are you going to eat that? And he's like, nah, go ahead. So she eats, the candy bar and shit. And then she, makes a bunch of noise with a wrapper. And then looks back at him. And, what about this thing right here? And he's like, no, go ahead. So she eats that. And then, he looks at her he's judging her. Like, come on, man, you're eating all my shit. You fucking tubby. And eventually she's like, want ice cream? And he's like, banana split. Because his mom gave her money to get him ice cream. So she's like, ice cream? Because, she's a fat girl and she wanted ice cream. But he's judging her. I thought that was pretty cool. That he was judging her. But the scene went on way too long. It was like a 4-minute long scene that could have been done in 45 seconds. It just went back and forth. She spent way too much time staring at the candy. Kind of like me talking about the scene is going too long. One of the scenes that was also kind of, it wasn't a bad scene, but at the same time, it was kind of like fat shaming. But again, it was 1982. We all know the scene from Family Guy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Well, the killer, when she went to go get the ice cream, the killer led her into a room by, putting candy. He didn't put candy. He did something to, a vending machine. That's what he did. And the vending machine kicked on to, lure her over there. And she fell for it. And the only thing I was thinking during that was, ooh, piece of candy. We could have done without that scene. Not that I'm against fat shaming. I'm fat. But, we didn't really need it. It was just, he had already judged her. And they already showed that she's just going to sit there and eat a bunch of shit. We didn't need that scene. Also, the blood in this movie looked awful. It was pink and orange. It was really bad. There was nothing realistic looking about this blood at all.
Diabetes.
The one thing that this movie tried to do, but it failed, is it wanted to lead you to you knowing that there were two killers. But they wanted to surprise you that they were twins. I just say that they failed at executing that. And what I mean by that is, like I had said earlier, is that there's two killers. They never interact. It makes you seem like the one brother is trying to cover up and protect the other brother by killing the kid, when in actuality there was just two killers the whole time. And it fell flat, man. It's like whoop, over my head. Like I didn't follow it fully, and I was kind of let down by it. So in conclusion, would I recommend this movie? Hell yes. It had a good story that was told well. The cinematography wasn't bad. The music was good. And it told a story that kept me watching. It didn't bore me. It kept me just kind of enjoying it. I'm happy that I made this purchase, and I'm even more proud to have this movie in my collection. Like, in my opinion, this is one of those movies that could use a remake and would really benefit by the source material. With all that being said, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. So that's going to do it for me for today, guys. Until next time, remember, stay smart, stay clean, keep the dream. Don't let the man get you down, because if he does, he might give you diabetes and stick you in a closet with Wiford Brimley.
Diabetes.
And you don't want that. Why? Well, because you're in there with Wiford Brimley.